Hello YouTube, welcome back to Unloved Autos. Today we have a special look at my 1996 Ford Taurus. This is not just any Ford Taurus though. It is a Japanese right-hand drive Taurus. As you can see, that steering wheel on the wrong side of the car. I purchased this car 2 years ago at a Bring a Trailer auction online. This car is, I learned later, TikTok famous. Apparently there's some TikTok video out there, which I will try to locate and stick in the comments of this or something. They received many, many views. This car was imported into the US in 2022. And that's when I bought it out of Ohio. The TikTok video came with a kind of a funny story for me. Not long after I bought the car, I took it to a small town Cars and Coffee, and a guy came running up to me to see the car, and he said, "Wow, I just saw this on TikTok. That's amazing. I can't believe it's here in Van Alstyne, Texas. What are you doing here?" It's kind of neat. So it's the only famous car that I have. I kind of wonder how many TikTok views it has these days. As we can see, it is a Taurus GL. Looking at the back, we can see the Ford Nagoya sticker on it from Japan. That's kind of cool. The car has a European or Japanese style front license plate bracket. I tried to get a license plate with Japanese figures on it to install there. I found one on eBay, but then it arrived and it wouldn't fit. So I'm still trying to figure that part out. As we can see, the car has some special wheels on it. These are JMB wheels, presumably from Japan. They are very unique. They look like something like a tri-bar Mustang or a Saab wheels from the olden days. I find them frankly rather ugly, but they are period correct and they fit this car to a T. We can see it has a body kit on it that was not a stock Ford Taurus body kit. Someone added it at some point and had it painted to match the moonlight blue paint. Just kind of adds to the character of this thing. As I mentioned, it has 79,000 miles on it. It came out of Athens, Tennessee. Has the 3-liter Ford Duratec V6 engine. I paid the princely sum of $9,300 for it. That's more than I would ever pay for any other Ford wagon. But for this one, it's pretty special. Seemed like a fair deal. The Ford Tauruses came out in 1986. There have been 6 generations. They've stopped making them now. This is a 3rd generation car. The first 2 generations were smooth and aerodynamic and huge, huge hits for Ford. They were the #1 selling car in America for quite a few years. This generation came out in 1996, the year that this one is, and lasted until 99. The 4th generation went from 2000 to 2006, and I personally think that it should have been just seen as a continuation of the 3rd generation. All they did was change the sheet metal and some of the interior stuff, but it was really the same car. The platform under this car isn't much different from the first 2 generations. They just updated it, made it better. Kind of like Ford did with their Fox Mustangs and into the SN95 period. This body style was very, we'll just say, controversial at the time. The ovoid nature of it and the theme is throughout. You see it in the taillights, the rear window of this and the coupe both, the windows, the front grille. If we take a look inside the car, you'll see it even there. Oops, that side's locked. That figures. Let's try again. You see here the dash, radio controls, very ovoid. Door handle, the glare out of it there. There we go. Door handle. Airbag. They just love the ovals. So when they redesigned this car a little bit, first in 98 and then in 2000, they got rid of a lot of the ovals, trying to improve sales. These were big sellers the first couple of years, and then they petered out. The starting cost of a Taurus in those days was about $18,000, about $35,000 today. Not cheap, but not super expensive either. They originally had two levels, the GL and the LX, and they switched those around some, and those came and went over the years. Ford never could really make up its mind on what it wanted to do with levels of its vehicles. These came with one of two engines, either a 3-liter Vulcan V6 or the 3-liter double overhead cam Duratec V6, the latter of which had 200 horsepower. As I mentioned, this was the better version. On a personal note, the second brand new car I ever bought was a 1996 Mercury Sable, which was the Mercury version of this car. Bought it because my son was on the way, and he in fact came home from the hospital in that 1996 Mercury Sable. That stands as one of the best cars I've ever had. The second best stereo I've ever had in a car. Who would have thought that a top-of-the-line Mercury Sable would have a fantastic stereo? But it did. Much better than the fancy Mustang stereos and others I've had over the years. The only thing that beats it is my current truck, my 2023 Ram Rebel, which has an even better stereo. Go figure that out. So for the Japanese aspect of this, Ford wanted to sell Tauruses and other cars in Japan for a long time. It's obviously a very big market. However, the Japanese aren't too keen on American cars. And there's also the problem of the size and the engine size of these. In Japan, they tax cars by the engine size. So if you are over some liters, you get taxed a lot extra. So it was expensive to own these. And that, along with the Japanese bias, just kept Japanese buyers away from the cars. And they never did sell very well. This Taurus, even though it was sold in Japan, drives and feels exactly like my old 1996 Sable. Sounds the same, feels the same. And it's not a slow vehicle, but it's not quick by any means. The similarity, I guess, is both remarkable and not remarkable. Even though it went overseas, it's still the same car. Well, let's take a quick look at the rear. Do we think this has a third row? Well, of course it does. Look at that. Just like the old Villager Mercuries and the Country Squires. This one even came with a brochure in Japanese. Look at that. Cool all around. I remembered to do the cold start that some people have requested on these cars. Let's do one here on the Japanese Taurus. I will pop open the hood quickly here. There it is. As we can see, it is indeed cold. There's not much to do in this car to get it started. Sometimes you need to push the key in all the way extra hard. There we go. There's your cold start. Sounding good. After I finished the video, I was reminded of something that I really wanted to include. This car, when you put it in reverse, sounds like a big truck. Cracks me up. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. Let's jump in and start it real quick. Somewhere along the way here, I'm going to stick in the cold start video that others have requested. Still starts right up. There's no rumble out of the old Duratec. Sorry, folks. There it is. 24 valves of Ford glory. A few more Japanese figures here and there. Not too many. On the inside at least. Well, there we have it. The TikTok famous 1996 Ford Taurus. One of my favorite cars for sentimental reasons and just because it's so unique and cool. Next week we may have a guest. We may have another one of my cars. We may go on location. We shall see. Until then, safe driving.